Welcome back, everyone. Oz here, and today we got some more r/AmIOverReacting. Y'all know the drill. I read the post, I give you my opinion, and I hope that you guys can also give yours in the comments. G Beja. I don't know if I said that right, that was an entire guess. My friend made our entire trip to Miami about male attention knowing I'm in a relationship, so I left halfway through. This is going to be long, thank you in advance for reading. A couple of days ago, I, 27 female, returned abruptly from a trip to Miami with a coworker/girlfriend of mine who's 25 female, of 1.5 years. I'm in a committed relationship and have been for 8 years while she is very much single. That's fine. We bond very well in other ways, and I always respected that she just does whatever she wants with whomever, whenever. We planned this trip together back in December, at my suggestion, because I've never been and my boyfriend wasn't interested in coming, and she's been a few times. I know the culture of Miami, but made it very clear to her this would be a girls' trip focused on the beach and food, where we could pay for things ourselves and not rely on the attention of men to enjoy our time. I considered that cheating. We also discussed extensively that this is my first girls' trip, so I planned all of our dinners and events because that's just how I am. For this reason, I assume she said she'd fly in a few days before I arrive because she wants to float around alone as a single girl. I respected that. So, I arrive when she's been in the city for 4 days already, and we meet at our Airbnb. She discusses the time that she's had with some local guys. One, who may potentially want us all to hang out again with some of his friends a couple days into our trip. I said sure because I'm new to the city and open to new experiences, and left it at that, assuming she'd know to communicate I'm taken and this wouldn't be a double date or anything of the sort. We had a great first day at the beach and we're sitting at a bar in search of pina coladas when she starts acting flustered, reading a text and shaking her head in disapproval. She leans over to show me that apparently this guy asked for my IG, which is common here. She gave it to him and he responded, "My guys wouldn't be into her." I'm confused for a few reasons. Why do they need my IG when I'm taken and wouldn't be interested sexually or romantically? This isn't a double date. Why would she give it to them? Why is she showing me this? I don't consider myself a very unattractive woman, but I am black, whereas she is Latina and more tall and curvaceous. Not every man's type, and that's fine because I don't care. I have a man who adores me. She gets a lot more attention from men, so I understand this guy was just in her rotation and she wanted to show me how stupid his reply was, but I was honestly hurt. Not that he or his friends think that of me, but that my supposed good friend who I'm currently on vacation with would not only open me up for critique like that, but then show me, while we're in the most superficial city in the country. I immediately asked her very calmly, "Why would you show me this? I don't care what they think." She apologized immediately and said she wouldn't give my IG anymore. The mood shift now was noticeable the next day, but I still wanted to enjoy our trip and try to compartmentalize the whole thing, but I won't lie, it shifted how I view her. I want to take the moment to mention that I've been in this city 2 nights so far, and each night she has left me at night to go be with a random local guy until the early morning. This crept into our day as she began sleeping in until afternoon and not being interested in drinking or anything because she already did that the night before. Friday night comes. I'm in good spirits. We're going out on the town for the first time so I can dance and enjoy some margaritas with my friend. Unfortunately, she meets a new random guy at the club and focuses on him for the remainder of our time there. I find some chicks to dance with in the meantime. 3 a.m. comes. The club is dead. I'm ready to go home. I explicitly ask her if she wants to stay with the guy because I already know. She hesitates but says, "No, let's go back to the Airbnb together." Then orders us an Uber. It's important I mention we're very drunk. While in the Uber, shared, she meets a guy who is clearly disinterested, but my friend is being obnoxiously and annoyingly drunk towards him. I mind my business because she's being drunk and we're almost back. After the guy gets out, she suddenly decides her night isn't over and tells the Uber to pull over so she can drunkenly get out. I'm staring at her in shock. 20 seconds later, the Uber driver tells me that she canceled the trip and I need to pay him cash to take me back to the Airbnb. I'm still stunned and hand over the money because I'm drunk and scared. He says, "Your friend is no good." I start crying and call my boyfriend, panicking. The Uber driver is a good man who takes me home and I realize I don't have my key when I get back. I'm a mess, crying, sitting in the lobby on the phone with my boyfriend who was worried and helpless. I had to wait an hour for her to Uber package her set of keys to me. She didn't even come back until 2 hours later. I felt so stupid and embarrassed that I was even in this situation. We had more things planned and paid for throughout Monday today, but I took the L on everything, including the cost of my original return flight and booked a new flight to leave later Saturday. We spoke later that day as I was packing my things, and she was actually defensive. She said verbatim, "You shouldn't have told me you were cool with me doing me when you weren't." Girl, I thought you had enough self-awareness as a friend to decide when it's time to turn off the need for male attention when we're out together. Well, I was on my own out on the street too. I didn't mean to cancel on you, but I needed to call an Uber. It's not like you were stranded, helpless without a phone. I stared at her in shock. I just started crying again. As you can tell, this is my defense mechanism when I'm frustrated. I explained to her that she should be more conscientious of other people and that I'm not the friend for her. I tell her I won't tell anyone at work about this and to enjoy the rest of her trip here alone. I go back to my room to start packing, and she comes in a few minutes later to apologize for ruining my first girl's trip and explains all her other friends were always cool with her doing that, and she loves me for me and hopes we can still be friends later. She makes it a point to magically become self-aware that she relies too much on the attention of men. I tell her these are all lessons in life to learn and reject her request for a hug. I returned home Saturday, and she has not reached out to me since then. I feel incredibly dumb. I spent a long time mulling over our friendship before this trip was booked, and she promised me we would have fun together. I spent so much money. She could have just been honest with me about her intentions and saved me thousands. I definitely enjoyed some moments in the city, but found myself wishing I could enjoy it with my boyfriend instead of her. I need to figure out how to handle this for work because everyone we knew went on vacation together, and it'll be noticeable when we aren't close anymore. But then again, I also don't care. Was I overreacting to this? Now that I'm home, I regret giving her the Airbnb and leaving. I should have just washed my hands and continued the trip alone. If you read it this far, thank you. Nah, you're good. She definitely wanted to try to get you to cheat. You did everything right in this situation. I can't even blame you for breaking down crying at multiple points. God knows what I would have done. I probably would have just shut down. Good on you for standing up for yourself. That's really what the important part is. You didn't overreact. You didn't make a fool of yourself. You didn't make a scene of yourself. You did exactly what you had to do. And honestly, your boyfriend should be fucking ecstatic that he has a real one. That's really what it comes down to. Real Vermicelli 7795 called my brother out about his constant jokes. Am I overreacting? Hi, as the title says, I moved out of my narcissistic mother's house and into a house with my brother. Things are more peaceful, but lately, my brother has been telling jokes that trigger me. It's hard to explain, but it consists of repeating something that my mother would tell me. Something usually hurtful. And then he would say, "It was a joke," or "Can you imagine me actually saying something like that to you?" This past week, I got sick, and my brother will ask me, "How are you feeling?" And no matter what I say, he always would say something like, "But you don't feel as bad as I feel," something my mom always said to me. And then he laughs and says, "Can you imagine if I said something like that to you?" I said nothing each time. Today I woke up feeling better, but I'm not 100% recovered. My brother comes up to me and says, "How do you feel?" I told him I'm a little better, but I still feel like resting for the day. He turns around and looks at me and says, "Stop lying about being sick just so you can go lay in bed. Get up and do something around the house, you dramatic baby." And then proceeds to laugh. I literally wanted to cry because those are my mom's words. The exact words that she used every time one of us got sick, no matter how sick we were or how young. I remember the first time she said it to me, I was like 8 years old. I have mentioned plenty of times to him that my mom's guilt trip is one of my biggest triggers, so I can't understand why he would think it's okay to joke with. I decided to say something, saying I didn't think it was a joke to just repeat the stuff my mom used to say to us all the fucking time. It hurts me. My brother said, "Oh God, it's just me saying it so you wouldn't be hurt. It's just jokes." Am I overreacting? Okay, yes and no, because it sounds like your brother is also dealing with shit too and you both need therapy. Sometimes joking like this is one's way of dealing with trauma. Sounds like he has a lot of trauma attached to it too and is also incredibly hurt by your mother's actions. My guess would be is that him repeating these are him trying to mutually cope with you, but half of the part of telling a joke is understanding your audience and if they actually will enjoy the material you're presenting. And in this case, him coping with the fact that he's probably been told by his mother multiple times, "Oh, you're just a big dramatic baby." He's probably repeating that to you in a sense of trying to give you like that mutual sense of, "I understand what you're going through. Wasn't it fucked up what our mom did?" And you, having a different sense of humor, just doesn't appreciate that. And that's really all it comes down to is communication. I don't think your brother is actively trying to make you feel upset. I think he's just trying to bond with you over your mutual fucked up experience with your mother, essentially downplaying any kind of pain you all had growing up. I do think that he should 100% respect your request to minimize that kind of joking, if not entirely cut it all out. But I am saying that you should recognize that those jokes are coming from somewhere of your own brother's trauma, more than likely. I might be wrong though, and I would love to hear some more input in the comments. Pure Ordinary 59. Am I overreacting about my husband cutting our toddler's hair? Our 2-year-old son had beautiful blonde shoulder-length hair. My husband and I would comment on a daily basis how pretty he was and wonder where in the family genes it came from since neither of us have hair like this. Aside from being pretty, our son seems to like his hair too. He spends a lot of time switching it around and giggling. I would trim the ends semi-regularly to keep it from looking too unkempt, but it's a bit tricky to do with a wiggly toddler who, understandably, doesn't like scissors near his face. Tonight, my husband went up to him with a pair of kitchen shears to clean up the ends and cut it all off. I gasped, I was speechless, and eventually squeaked out a sad, "I can't believe you just did that." Our son looks like an entirely different kid now, and I'm devastated that my husband took it upon himself to totally change our son's appearance in the blink of an eye. I tried to keep my composure by repeating, "It's just hair, it'll grow back, it's just hair," in my head, but eventually I left the room to have to cry. My husband found me upset and got angry, saying that I'm being irrational and he doesn't need his wife's approval to cut his son's hair the way he wants to. Ooh. I know a big part of my feelings comes from the fact that he looks so much older now. He looks like a little man and not a baby anymore, and that's obviously hard as a parent. Ultimately, I know it doesn't really matter if internet strangers think I'm overreacting because my feelings are valid to me either way. But do any other parents feel attached to their young children's hair, especially a sudden first major haircut? Or am I being a giant weirdo? Edit to add some additional info I've added in the comments, but they have gotten buried. My husband never expressed before that he disliked our son's hair. He would also call it beautiful and pretty. If he always wanted it this way, that was never shared with me before. Our son is nonverbal, so unfortunately, I don't know his opinion on his hair, but he's almost definitely still too young to care. At most, he will miss switching it around. I intentionally did not cry over hair or appear upset in front of my son, nor did I stomp around or slam doors to get attention. I quietly left the room to process my feelings on my own. I am in marriage therapy. My husband doesn't think we need it, so he does not come to sessions. He came to one session early on where he expressed all of our problems are my issues, not his. He has agreed to come to the session next week. So as someone who has long hair right now because my father used to give me buzz cuts when I was younger, the kid is definitely gonna miss the hair. The fact that your husband is willing to go to therapy is a major step forward. I think him cutting the hair is a minor thing. He's a guy. Long hair on guys is usually socially unacceptable, so he's probably just thinking, well, you're almost 3, you're almost a man now. Legos aren't free. Time to cut your hair. So he went at it with the scissors, but I think the problem here is actually his reaction to you. I think that is definitely something that needs to be talked about in marriage therapy. Now, I'm not going to give the usual Reddit where something mildly frustrating happens or potentially signs of a red flag or worse things to come and just immediately say, leave that man, send him to the curb. That's not what we're going to do here. I think marriage counseling is the right choice. I think you got to talk about him. But I really do think that he needs to start going to marriage counseling because him just stating that everything was your problem and never going back, that is not good. Dark Blue Eska. Am I overreacting for being weirded out about a date wanting us to background check each other? I've been on 2 dates with a girl I met recently. Very tame dates. We're still very much figuring out who the other person is. In fact, I don't even think we've physically touched. Not even the slightest brush of shoulders. That's how tame it has been and how much I've been keeping my distance. She's out of town this weekend and I texted her something like, next time we get together, we'll have to do something that gives us more of a chance to talk. She sent back that she had a strange idea for something to do together. Her idea was to take a concealed weapons licensing course together. I was completely taken aback and kind of speechless. I'm not a gun guy. I have not even the smallest interest in this. And I really don't think dating and guns are a good mix. I told her guns are pretty much the last thing that would ever help me feel closer to another person. She got a little flustered and explained that she'd always had an interest in personal safety and self-defense and thought it would give us a chance to clear the other's background. So, to run a background check on each other, basically. I haven't responded yet. I think her explanation is even more insane than the initial proposal. I was maybe going to just sweep it under the rug and then the explanation just dug the hole even deeper. Do people actually run background checks on each other after a date or two now? This is what dating is? I am personally really weirded out and have been completely turned off of continuing seeing this person. It seems to me like she might have listened to a few too many true crime podcasts and watched maybe a few too many Law & Order SVU episodes. There's nothing in my background that I'm even remotely concerned about someone finding, but the idea that someone thinks it's needed at all after 2 really nice dates with zero controversy is such a complete turnoff. Can't even put into words how unromantic this whole thing is. But it's been a long time since I started a new relationship and I'm kind of an old-fashioned weirdo, so maybe I'm overreacting and I just don't know how dating works in 2024. What do you think? Am I nuts, or is this request as wild as I think it is? Edit after reactions. It does seem like the prevailing opinion is that this is a big overreaction on my part, so I'm going to take the L and adjust my way of thinking. Admittedly, most of the people I've dated in the past either knew me before or knew someone who could vouch for me. So this situation where we aren't well acquainted and they need to clear me is not something I have encountered a lot. Women have told me they've looked me up, but I don't think any have told me about doing an actual background check, so I don't know how common it was or how easy it is for people to do. That was definitely something I needed to hear. I appreciate everyone who told me that this is a standard practice and how necessary it is for women to ensure their safety. I was not informed enough on this issue. For what it's worth, I've already texted her back and told her that if she'd like to clear my history, I think she should feel free to just run a check straight up. Since the check for the CCW certification would probably not be quick, or tell her the info she'd want to know anyway. I'm a boring dude with nothing to hide, so she can lay it all bare if she wants. Whatever she needs to feel safe. Still not interested in carrying concealed, and I definitely think it's an unusual date idea, but it probably took her a lot of courage to propose it, especially not knowing how I felt about guns. So there's no reason for me to hold it against her. I'm just gonna write this off as an overreaction on my part and see where it goes from here. Good on the guy for being willing to readjust his views. I do think it can be a bit jarring with the standards of, providing a background check, as women oftentimes want to feel safe and make sure they're not dating a psychopath, and I do feel like it should go both ways. If I were to guess, I think she rolled the dice as like, oh, he's a guy, he probably will like guns, so maybe we can kind of just get this out of the way super quickly by making it a fun little date idea instead of an awkward background check. I think she was trying to just meet in the middle ground, but made the incorrect gamble on whether or not you were into guns or not. I think that's pretty much what this was, but background checks are incredibly important. Pretty Detective 250. I got into a fist fight with my sister's boyfriend at her baby shower. Oh boy. I, 31 female, attended my younger sister's, let's say Emma, 26 female's baby shower this past weekend, thrown by our mother. Emma is pregnant with her first child and was glowing as the center of attention. However, her boyfriend/baby daddy, Kyle, 26 male, was being a total jackass the entire time. Kyle showed up late, reeking of beer, and started hitting on, overtly flirting with several of the other female guests right in front of Emma. When she confronted him about his inappropriate behavior, he laughed it off and called her a hormonal pregnant bitch. I could see Emma tearing up, trying to keep it together. Later, Kyle was running his stupid mouth again, making lewd jokes about Emma's pregnancy body and how her boobs looked ready to lactate. That was the final straw for me, so I grabbed Kyle and dragged him outside to have a word with him in private about respecting my sister. He responded by shoving me hard against the side of the house. That's when I lost it. I punched him square in the face, which set off an all-out brawl between us. Fists were flying and we were grappling on the ground, completely destroying Mom's garden and the patio furniture in the process. The fight ended when Emma came out crying hysterically and sprayed us both with a hose to break it up. The shower was ruined and Emma went into early labor from the stress and had to go to the hospital, and my face was bruised. My mom and Emma are saying that I overreacted for starting a violent fight at a baby shower and potentially putting the baby's health at risk with the drama, but I feel like I was just defending my sister's honor from her piece of shit boyfriend. Kyle struck me first after all. Am I in the wrong here? No, Kyle hit you first. That is the fundamental part of this. Kyle came in drunk, upset your sister, was being a fucking creep, and when you asked to talk about him about his behavior, he hit you first. I feel horrendous for your sister because that man is not going to be a good father, and it's absolutely upsetting that because of Kyle's actions, not yours, that Emma went into an early labor. That's very unfortunate. Nessie KD. Am I overreacting? My sister tried to scare my son for fun, and now he can't use the bathroom at night. My sister, 39 female, was trying to tease my 8-year-old son by telling him that a moose was tall enough to put his head through the window in the bathroom, where the only window faces the woods. Now, my son is too afraid at night to use the bathroom because he's worried about a moose putting his head through the window. We live in New Hampshire, where we see moose all the time. I saw a baby today which was about 6 feet tall even as a baby. We once had one in my front yard. I live in the woods, I'm outside of a small town, so I can't tell him that there are no moose because, well, there are. We had to bury a dead one who dropped dead just down the street, so I don't know what to tell him to set his mind at ease. I'm so pissed because it's not the first time that my sister has done this. She told him that the toilet will also overflow every time he goes number 2 as well, so he never flushes the toilet out of fear that it's going to overflow. I want her to stop trying to scare my son because it's making me absolutely crazy. Update, I called my sister and went mama bear on her about the teasing. She was very upset to hear that she scared him so badly. She talked to him on the phone and said sorry and told him that she was not serious. He laughed a little reluctantly and called her silly, but he's still a little bit scared. I think he's not sure if she's telling the truth. After, she told me she would come over tomorrow and try to help me show him that there's nothing to fear. My sister is very outgoing and boisterous and brave. I'm a bit more timid like my son, so I'm happy that I'll have her support. If anyone can show him how to be brave, it's her. I also wanted to mention that my sister is currently pregnant for the first time. I have 3 boys, 16, 9, and 8. It was my youngest that I was talking about in this post. She's looking to me a lot more lately for advice, and she's been spending a lot of time with my kids to prepare herself and us for her arrival. We love to fawn over her and talk about the new cousin they will have, so I don't want to cut her off. She's a really good sister and aunt. She's just learning. I have faith that she will take my heartfelt plea for her to be a little bit more aware of her audience. My 2 older boys love her jokes and aren't scared by them, but my youngest is a little bit different. He is my cautious boy, and it may be because I baby him, but he is my baby. I know it's not an excuse, and I'm offering my very honest explanation. I've enjoyed all the replies and suggestions. Thank you all for your help. I am definitely thinking about all the things said. You've really helped me figure this out. I appreciate you all. Much love, Vanessa. I'm glad this one had a happy ending because from the very first paragraph, I kind of had the feeling that sister had, no intention of accidentally traumatizing the children and just wanted to have a good time. I mean, moose are hulking monstrosities of a monster, so I can definitely see why there'd be a little bit of uncomfortability with having those freaks of nature around. Like, if you've ever seen a moose in person, they are huge. Like, those things should not exist, fundamentally. So I can kind of understand from the aunt's perspective of, oh, a moose is just an animal, but from the child, that is like a walking leviathan of a monstrosity that just lurks in the woods. The aunt didn't tell him that like a xenomorph or Jason or the Predator from the Arnold Schwarzenegger movies was out there waiting to get him. It was something that was just a common piece of wildlife and probably could have even been as simple as a fun fact as, oh yeah, no, moose are just big as hell. Yeah, they definitely could put their head through the window in the bathroom. Just as a joking tone, and it does sound that she has realized, the mistakes of her actions that were unbeknownst to her and has taken the steps to properly alleviate that. And that's really all you can ask for in this situation, because I don't think that she was maliciously trying to scare the children. What the hell is up with these names? Dejunder H2O. Dejunder H2O. There we go. Took a second. Am I overreacting because my friends with 3 kids said my kidless opinion doesn't matter? My lifelong friend has 3 kids. I have none, by choice. When discussing a new family car for his wife, I said brand XYZ have great crash and safety ratings. His reply was, talk to me when you have kids, as if I'm incapable of knowing what cars are rated well for safety without having a child. I wanted to say, okay, and hang up on him. I know he really didn't mean it how I'm taking it, but am I overreacting? Sure, edit. Thanks everyone. The conversation wasn't centered on cars. He was talking about Subarus. His wife has a Forester. I mentioned Toyotas and Hondas in general, and when I said Hondas have high safety ratings, he gave me that reply. I passed it off and the call naturally ended in 5 minutes. While I honestly think this conversation doesn't fully matter because Toyotas, Hondas, and Subarus have a very equivalent safety rating just across the board, like they're just safe cars and they're great family cars in general. Only thing I would say is I think Honda technically has better technology, but that's besides the point. I think it was kind of gross for him just to chalk off your opinion by saying, talk to me when you have kids. I think that dismissing an entire opinion is kind of a little fucked up. You did not react. You didn't overreact here. You had the temporary want to end the conversation, but you did not. So you did not overreact. You had the intention to possibly overreact, but you did not. And that's kind of where this ends. Don't forget, this is brought to you by GamerSupps. Use code ODDS at checkout. It's basically a caffeine powder that you put in your water, and I actually really like it. I use this on a daily basis. Don't forget that every purchase you make using code ODDS directly supports the channel. And if you want a personal recommendation from me, I would either recommend the Soda Pressing Pear or Dragon Fruit Punch. Those 2 are currently my favorite flavors. And as a note, once we sell a certain amount of stuff, I get my own flavor and my own cup, and you all know I'm gonna choose some degenerate shit that's gonna make their PR team squirm. My goal is to make them regret partnering with me. So please, use code EYES at checkout to make my dream come true of making a PR team squirm.